All right, welcome to the Eric Tries Too Hard podcast, episode 123. I'm here with Dan Luberto, and we're going to talk about hard times, comedy, punk, all sorts of shit. But I want to start out by plugging the show I've got coming up, a stand-up show at the Auto Bar, legendary punk rock venue in Baltimore, this Wednesday, June 22nd, 2016. Unless you're watching this a year from now, in which case you missed it, I'm sorry. At 9 p.m., come see me and a bunch of much better comics from Baltimore do stand-up at an awesome venue. Don't get seated behind the famous Auto Bar pole, and you won't be able to see this beautiful face. All right, so my guest today, Times contributor, and he is one of the funniest people I've seen, period, as far as comedy writers that I really, really like. Yeah, I'll gush. You're one of a handful, dude, and I think I really, really got something. So, Dan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. It's very, very kind words of you to say right off the bat. I would like to fight you on that, 'cause there's a lot of funny people in that group. But
there are, yeah.
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good tonight. I actually had off of work today, so this is my one thing I'm doing today. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to have you. Thanks for coming on. So, before we get in, I'm definitely going to ask you all about yourself and your history in comedy and punk. But I wanted to quickly mention, like, this is my introduction to you, was after I got you. I mean, you've had, I counted today, it appears you have 25 on the hard times. And you've been in for, when did you join?
A little over a year ago. Which
is really, really impressive when you think about how many people are working on it compared to how many articles actually get published. Your rates of success are staggering and something I can only hope to aspire to. But so when I joined the group, the first thing I saw, I don't think I've ever told this story in the podcast. First thing I saw was the Read Me First that Matt Sankum put out. And in the line, I even quoted it in some conversation that we had on Facebook today, but it was, he said, a whole bunch of stuff for new writers, and then at the end, it was something along the lines of referring to if your pitches don't get accepted, it's like, don't take it personally, just keep writing, get better, write better pitches. Yeah. And that always inspired me. I was like, okay, this is the real deal. And so I come in, I treated it like, you know what, this is my version of SNL. Because it means that much to me, and it's the highest level I'll probably ever get to in this shit. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pitch jokes. I'm terrified. I'm this. I'm that. I want to just do the best job I can. I want to impress all these people. And throughout the first week, I was so scared. But then I started noticing there's, for every 100, 200 pitches, only one thing gets accepted. So I started noticing. I was like, oh, I guess it's not as scary of a process. So I was like, some people are bombing just like me. Some people do well, some people whatever. And then about 6 days in, when I started to feel a little bit comfortable, which was a huge mistake, you, Mark Turner, and then I think Ed, Matt, and Bill all posted just a stream of fucking winner pitches. And I was like, oh, okay, the A-team just showed up and crushed it. And but that was my introduction specifically to you, and even stuff that didn't get, picked to go on. I was like, oh, these are the guys that know how this works. So now that I've, built up all your hype, how old are you?
23 years old.
You son of a bitch. You that's the thing. You definitely have youth on your side. So how did you, because of how good you are, and if you, by the way, for anyone,
I'm not that.
Yeah,
I'm just good at this one part. I'm good at this. I'm not even good at it. But this is the one thing I'm not a failure.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. Okay.
I got 7 more years of failure than you, so I feel like you don't get to call yourself a failure. No, I'm just fucking with you. But so. For anyone who doesn't know Dan's work, if you just go to thehardtimes.net and go to the search bar on the right and just write Dan Luberto, and you'll see all this stuff. So how'd you get involved in comedy, period? And what age were you when you started?
Comedy, I think one of the other, because I've been listening to the podcast a lot, just, big fan, and it's really cool to
thanks for listening.
To sort of get to know all these people in this Facebook group that I knew a little bit, now get to hear them, and hear their experiences. So I want to thank you for that real quick.
No problem.
On top of that, my introduction to comedy was definitely just watching, like being in the room watching The Simpsons when I was a kid. It was The Simpsons, and specifically, I think Kyle Earth said this was his experience too. I don't want to disquote anything, but it was like definitely I got more into, I think like my first like real habitual watching of consumption of comedy was in 5th grade when it was like Fox 5 after school. Their lineup from 6 to 8 was Simpsons, King of the Hill, Simpsons, Seinfeld.
Yeah.
for 2 hours every night, and that's what I did from age whenever I was in 5th grade. It was 5th grade through like until I got a car when I was in high school. Like it was just like that's what I did every weeknight.
So this is what, like 2001, 2002?
No, this is no 2000. I'm trying to think how old am I. 2003 to like 2000.
Okay, gotcha.
2008 probably was what I would say was the golden age of me watching those shows every night.
And that's cool because those are all reruns, correct? Pretty much.
Yeah, it was all reruns. I mean, I would watch King of the Hill and The Simpsons when they were on Sunday nights. Also, I'd watch the new episodes, but they were all being syndicated on Fox also. So
that's really cool. I was those years definitely in high school, and I was watching those exact same things because we didn't have TiVo, we didn't have DVR. I guess that's what I'll do.
For real.
I'll watch Seinfeld with commercials. No, dude, that's really awesome, and that's like. I think it's so interesting with this new era of, and we can even call it with comedy writing, internet comedy writers.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Hard Times, you got 160 plus people all over the place, and everybody's just contributing online. That it's not necessarily I was 16 and I snuck into a comedy club. That's not the story anymore.
Yeah.
It's I watched TV and then started joking around with my friends, and like that's how.
Yeah. No. Seriously.
Yeah. Okay, so, no, go for it. What's up?
Never mind.
Give a shit. I don't have anything to say. That's a lie. So how from when you started on? So that's when you got into comedy. Is Hard Times the first comedy writing you did, or were you doing something before, like in college or whatever?
No. The first comedy writing I did was I basically started my own satire site.
Really?
In college, like based around my like a Harvard Lampoon kind of like the way that my school didn't have one. So a little background on that was I went to American University in Washington D.C. And our school newspaper is called The Eagle. So one day I popped into my head. I was like, you know what? I think this is when I was really getting into The Onion a few years ago, and I was like, you know what? I think AU because there's a lot of stereotypes. Blah, blah, all that stuff that come with going to a school, like a liberal arts school like that. So I was like, I think we need our own satire site. So I kind of made one, called it The Beagle.
Too bad Vulture was already taken.
I couldn't do Vulture because that was just a lawsuit waiting to happen. So I was like, I'll settle for Beagle. And if it wasn't Beagle, it was going to be The Seagull.
I like everything there. I think they're both good. I like Seagull though. I'm glad you're punching it up years later.
After it's barely working still. I had that idea. Here's the funny thing about me though. Whenever I have an idea, it takes between 1 to 3 years for me to follow through on it. So I had that idea my early sophomore year, like November, and I didn't actually start it till spring semester junior year. Was when I really sat down and did it. And that was just because my friend, Abdullah, who I did it with, sort of kicked me in the ass. And he wrote an article. He's like, look, this is funny. Let's just keep doing it. I was like, all right. So, and then I did that for a year and a half, like for the duration of my college experience.
And did that catch on with the campus, or like what was your viewership base?
It did catch on with the campus. That was pretty cool because I was really into doing it anonymously because I figured, because like I was by no means popular at school, so I feel like if I was like, oh hey, this guy Dan's doing this thing, people would think it was stupid. But if I did it anonymously, I figured the mystery behind it would be cool, and b people wouldn't like associate anyone with it, and it was kind of cool. So basically my friend and I wrote 4 articles, went to the school library and printed out like we made like a little newsletter. It was a front and back
You mean
newsletter.
a zine?
Yeah, like a little, I guess a zine, but again, not. So it wasn't. Yeah, it was a zine, I guess. Sorry, I'm really rambling. I apologize.
No, please keep going. This is the first time people have heard someone but me talk for more than like a minute. That's beautiful. Everyone listening is thanking you for having shit to say. No, keep going, man. This is interesting.
All right, so yeah, my friend and I went to the campus, the library, and printed out. I think the first one we printed out 300 copies, and we did it in the library, and we hogged the printer for like, it was a 20 minutes. People were mad. People were just standing behind us because we were just printing reams of paper out, and like everyone just standing behind us. And we're like, oh god, this is gonna blow our cover, but we didn't really we thought people would be more interested than they were. And then so we did that on a Sunday, and we're like, all right, Monday we're gonna put it out. We're gonna wake up early. We're gonna go around campus and just flyer everywhere, which we did. And the Sunday night before, I messaged a few of my friends who I used to live with, who were a year older than me. And like a few random friends from different circles, so it wouldn't come back to me. And I said, yo, I put this up this Tumblr, I made a Facebook page, like and share the articles. And then I'm telling you, and then I put it up, and it was getting a little bit of traction, but people were falling for it at first, and people were like, what? It was mostly just like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then the next morning, my friend and I woke up at like 8 a.m, which like in college time was like crazy early. We like set multiple alarms, and like we didn't even get dressed. We just walked down the road and like went, and we just put them everywhere, like every table in the student center, every like classrooms, just everywhere. And then it gained steam pretty quickly from that on out. It was really cool. And then I think as of now we have a little over, like we probably have like maybe 1,100 likes on Facebook. And I don't do it anymore. I gave the information to this girl that is still in school now, and she posts a little bit. We have like 1,100 likes, but at a school where there's only like 5,000 undergrads, I think that's pretty cool.
Pretty good.
Pretty successful thing.
That's also, what was your most proud article that you wrote or you saw happen through that zine, through that paper?
Okay, well, let's see. Just to give some quick background, it was basically we did an issue a week, and each issue was four articles. And we did that for about 1.5 years, so 3 semesters worth. And it was mostly just me and my friend who did it. My friend Abdullah and I did it. Abdullah Fayyad, I'm gonna plug him. He's really funny. Sorry to plug on your show.
I don't give a shit. That's why you're here.
Well, thank you. And we had a few friends contribute a few here and there. I think that, oh man, this is tough because now I'm a couple years out of this. I think my favorite one was the one that he wrote, though. I'll list two. The one that I think is actually the two that got the best reactions, in my opinion, were my friend wrote one. It was right after when when the stuff about like unarmed black kids getting shot was really big.
Yeah.
And my friend wrote an article saying like, campus PD officer shoots black student to like prepare for being a real cop or something.
Holy shit, that's sad. That's horrible. That's amazing.
That's great. It's a brilliant article, and there's a story. I'm gonna go off again. There's a story behind that article because he wrote it, and like we kind of like collaborated a little bit on it, but like because me and him were 50-50, so like we'd read all the articles and stuff before we did. Like we both were like, man, I was like, dude, like this is sick. Like this is funny. It's like a concise headline. It's funny. Like the article itself was hilarious.
Yeah.
And we were really proud. We're like, dude, we're writing like a social justice piece because that's we've always wanted to do that because we're both like pretty like into like like all that stuff, and we were really psyched. Like we're gonna have this article that has a message and it's gonna be cool and it's gonna make people think. And it's gonna be like not just the stupid like, oh, the food at the cafeteria is bad. Like it was like we're like really amped on it. And we always prided ourselves on having like not just making stupid, lame, easy jokes, but we're like, this is good. And then it came out and it went over like a lead balloon. Like that article, because like I'm gonna throw it out there right now. Like, AU was a great school and I liked it there, but it was like, you notice that I write a lot of articles making fun of like overly PC people and like PC punks and whatnot.
Yes, I do. There's a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I went to school with everyone like that. So basically everyone would just really posting really long, like people were basically making Facebook status think pieces, being like, I don't know what these people are doing, making fun of all the people dying, and
yeah, that's who you're making fun of.
Yeah, I know.
That's who.
And again, since we were doing it anonymously, and we had pretty much a policy to never like fight back. We just like put it out there, let it speak for itself, And we never fought back. And like it was funny because it would be people I know were posting these stats. It's like, I hate this like whoever wrote this should be ashamed. Like your parents should be ashamed. That was the funniest. Your parents should be ashamed.
Really, first off, that's insane because you're on their side and you're doing something that's probably more meaningful than what they're doing. Oh. But also, I mean, that leads in, I believe that a lot of, because I believe in a lot of social justice stuff, but I still get so upset over the PC, over social, not because what they believe in. I agree with what they believe in. Yeah. I don't like the methods. It's kind of like bullying. You don't see them going after goddamn Bill O'Reilly, who's actually saying horrible shit. They're going after you and your crew of people who support what they support. They're just bullies. They fuck them. I hate that shit. Anyway, sorry.
They can go to hell.
Yeah.
I go on record and say they can go to hell.
Yeah. Who's an easy target who's going to actually defend themselves and try to make us like them? Oh, someone who agrees with us? Who's like, okay, that's who we should attack. It's the I can't even enough.
God, what was
Oh, sir. Well, it's funny. I had a whole conversation with Ray McMillan, who also is on Hard Time, and then he was we were talking about that, and he was like, well, what do you say to people who are PC who are going to like try to shut your shit down if your podcast or whatever gets popular? And I go, well, they don't really have a leg to stand on. Because I don't actually say any of the fucked up shit. I don't say any of the awful buzzwords that they criticize. I just don't like them, and they can't argue with people who don't like them. If you notice, they never argue with the people who criticize them. They argue with people who say the wrong buzzword, or who try to
It's never it's so stupid. It's so irritating.
That's why I love the Milo guy, the super like conservative guy who's doing these tours of college campuses, getting like speaking out against it.
That guy just came to my school.
He did? Did they protest like every other school?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm a year out of there, so my girlfriend goes there, and it was like I couldn't go on Facebook without people posting about it. I was just like,
jeez. Well, it's so funny because like he has a thing where he wrote a whole article and he references a lot where he goes, I've told liberals how to beat me. And they say, argue with me on like the issues and have better arguments than me. But no one ever does that. Well, not no one. The people who are protesting him who just want to yell about the buzzwords, they never argue with his beliefs. It's like, you could actually beat his beliefs, but you never do it. You just yell at the buzzwords.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and it's hard because I am so annoyed by people that are like overly PC and just getting annoyed at people over like buzzwords and like little arbitrary things. But then at the same time, it's like, dude, conservatives just in general, they give me a headache. So it's like
we're fighting with the wrong people. We have actual people who have horrible things they believe in.
And it's like, and the thing is, I see them being like, oh man, this guy said like gay as a joke once. I'm like, okay, like who hasn't?
We're all 12.
It's like, you saying this makes me mad at you, and you're supposed to be on my side.
Yes.
Not only do you arbitrarily hate me now, but I hate you, like in response. Yeah. It's so destructive.
Dude, it gives me flashbacks to punk scene stuff. I literally had this thought. I didn't realize how funny this thought was until like a decade later. But I used to think, why do I hate everyone who agrees with me? Like,
dude, for real. Until. Yeah. Like in all seriousness, like living in DC, where like all the like people I meet and regular people are PC and punks are even more PC. Like, dude, it was crazy. Like I had basically alienated myself from the majority of the DC like punk and hardcore scene, except for like a few of my close friends, because I have kind of a wild sense of humor and I'll say like crazy things and people don't like me for it. And I basically hated every straight edge person I knew except for myself. Yeah. And it was something that I felt so strongly about. I was like, I'm straight edge. Yeah. I was like, but if everyone that I know that's straight edge like vehemently hates me and like doesn't like I was like, and everyone that I know that's straight is like a dick. Like, what's going on? And luckily, I met Matt and Bill, and I was like, okay, they're not all assholes. Thank God. Like,
well, I definitely had like. See, I never like identified as straight edge in the sense that like I never even listened to really hardcore except for a couple of bands.
Yeah.
But I was always like, but I just didn't drink, didn't do drugs. That was for reasons outside of any kind of culture or whatever you want to call it. And that's how I feel like with you seems like the same way. You're like, that's a choice that I make. And so like I had friends who were straight edge but didn't go all in on the XXX straight edge shit. And just were like, no, this is just how we live our lives. It's not a big deal. This is what we do. And it wasn't until like I stopped being straight edge that I was just like, oh, everyone's an idiot. And everyone who takes all this shit seriously is an idiot. So like not like people like you and hopefully me, but I mean the people who are like straight edge is my whole life or drinking is my whole life. All those people who I heard growing up, I was like, oh, you're all wrong. Like you do whatever you want. It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah. Oh, let me go back. So did you have a reason for being straight edge? What was your whole deal with that? I only ask not because I think it's weird, but because I totally get it. And I think it's actually interesting what leads anyone to doing something away from the pack. So what was your kind of process?
Well, there's like three or four little things. First off, like most straight edge kids, there's like a family history of alcoholism and dealing with that growing up. So, that's kind of been a thing. I'm not going to get into that because I don't want to be like down. Cool. I don't want to down our podcast.
You can talk about whatever you want, but that's cool. I respect.
No, I'm not trying to talk shit. Basically, like there's like the two things. The one is other than that, like the thing I just mentioned. Basically, like when I was a kid and like going to having like the DARE officer come in and say like drugs are bad.
Yep.
Dude, that just like worked on me. Like I don't know.
Me too. Me too.
It's like I don't want to do these things. Like,
yeah.
It's like to this day, like I see people smoking cigarettes. I'm like, why do you do that? That's bad for you. Like, and like like I'm not going around telling people but it's just in the back of my head. And then, so that was kind of it. It's like I never had like around like middle school when people were starting to like experience like steal liquor or whatever. Like, and I lived in a pretty sheltered like rural area, so it wasn't like a really sketchy like Degrassi situation where every 13-year-old was like getting fucked up. Yeah. But it started happening so like around middle school, and then like when I first heard the term straight edge was, the thing is, I was nervous to come on here because I feel like all the coolness that I might have built up being like on the internet is going to be totally shattered. Because I learned the term straight edge when I was in 6th or 7th grade reading the Good Charlotte Wikipedia page.
Dude, two things. One, in pop punk, which is what my band that I've been playing for 5 years is in, Good Charlotte is like a well-revered, historical, great punk band.
That's from Maryland, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So it was I'm talking just in pop punk.
Yeah.
Like in the culture, it's like of all the pop punk bands that came through in the 90s or in early 2000s, the bands that retain their legendary cred status it's basically Blink-182, Good Charlotte, and Sum 41 got fucked. Nobody likes them.
Hell no.
But who else was it? Somebody I'm
Newfound Glory
now, but some of them. Yes, it is.
Don't
Thank you.
Forget Newfound Glory, man.
Hardcore. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's funny because when I was growing up, the bands that everybody made fun of me for listening to ended up being the bands that like people like, oh no, those are cred bands.
Yeah,
you were in good company. You were in good company, sir.
Yeah, they get kind of grandfathered in.
Yeah.
Like you can shamelessly still listen to those bands. And I recently was actually probably like a year and a half ago. Funny Newfound Glory story. I went to this probably a year and a half ago when Newfound Glory's most recent record, Resurrection, came out, because I still listen to all their new records and love them, to be honest with you. I went to a really punk record store in DC, and I was like, hey, do you guys have the new Newfound Glory record? And the guy just looked at me like I was like the biggest like fucking bozo he's ever seen in his life. Like he just like paused to see if I was about to say like I was joking. I was like, no, we don't have that. I was like, okay, sorry.
Talladega Night scene. He's like, yeah, we have that record. We only have it to see who would actually want it, so we know. Dude, that's so. I didn't realize how much hardcore kids of the last decade merged with pop punk in recent years until I started playing in this band. And there are so many like kids who will go to like good Newfound Glory shows and start fucking throwing in the pit. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? Well, what's your yeah? No, go for it. Go for it.
Well, all I was gonna say was just like I know that Chad Gilbert's really involved in the hardcore scene. Chad from Newfound Glory, so I know that's like a big thing. So he used to be in that band Shy Halud, and then also he like produces Terror Records. So like.
Oh, I did not know that.
He does. No, he's like super into it. And Newfound Glory released that 7-inch, the kind of like, which is on Bridge 9 and was like the most, as close to hardcore as that band can get.
Yeah.
And like, they brought Turnstile on one of their tours too. So they're pretty cool about that stuff. Like they're into that merging of genres.
That's so interesting because it just. Oh, so what's your favorite Newfound Glory record?
I don't know. I mean, you know what? Fuck it. Sticks and Stones. It's like, I'm sorry. That record's just so good. Like,
this is the kind. I like that record a lot now. Here's me and how much of a not even before I even got into like actual punk, how much of a hipster I was. I got the self-titled Newfound Glory record when I was at 14. 2000 when it came out. And then when Sticks and Stones, and I also got Yellow Card's Underdog EP when it came out. And then I had all the Atari's back catalog. And then in 2002, all three of those bands got on the radio with Sticks and Stones and Ocean Avenue and whatever Atari's put out. So Long a Story, I think. And I was like, Sticks and Stones, fucking sellouts. And I wouldn't listen. I refused to listen to any of those fucking records that are classics now. It's just like, how could you sell out like that? It's like, oh, because you were a pop punk band. I'm an idiot. There's no such thing as selling out. Fuck me.
No, I mean the rule of thumb in any like alternative music genre is whatever the record is that came out after you got into them sucks.
Oh,
it's like it's like the rule of thumb.
So I have a theory / question. Let me see if you relate to this.
Okay.
I think there's a reason why it extends beyond like alternative. It's that the record, most of the time, the record that comes after the record that you liked sucks. And I always struggled with that because it was like, well, now they're famous musicians or professional musicians. You feel like that's all they do now is music. So why isn't it even better? And I think it's because the reason you loved that band was because of the record you got into. And anything that isn't that record, at least at first, isn't going to be as good.
No.
That's kind of where I'm at with that. What are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you 100% on that. And like, you know, so much of like what everyone enjoys is nostalgia. And like, I feel like all the records that are my favorite records are I got into at a certain place and time in my life. And that's sort of what they're like representative of. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I'll tell people all the time, like two of my favorite bands are Census Fail and Silverstein. And I know that like,
Silverstein's good. Sorry, keep going.
That band rules. Yeah. But like, and going to hardcore shows, I tell people that everyone will like laugh, make fun, be like, "Oh God, this fucking guy." But I'm like, dude, like, I got into those bands at the right time, and like that, like those couple albums just meant the world to me, and they still do. Like they always will. Like the first two Silverstein records, and like every Census Fail record, to be honest with you.
Yeah. That's the amount of influence. I never listened to Census Fail, but the amount of times I'd come into my band and I'd show them, here's a new demo I made, play them whatever I recorded, and they'd go, "Oh yeah, that's like that Census Fail song." And I'm like, motherfucker, god damn it! they have the monopoly on catchy minor key shit. I can't do anything with it. Yeah, that's really cool. So you kind of went from the satire side at your school directly into Hard Times?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because I was, again, wrapping up my senior year. Like, it was March of my senior year, so like 15 months ago.
Yeah.
Was when because I'd seen the Hard Times pop up once or twice before then. Because it started, December 2015?
I saw it probably around February or March, probably right when you started.
Yeah, I'd seen it pop up a little bit before I got heavily into it, but it popped up in my newsfeed once or twice when it was still so young that I was like, oh, there's only like 4 articles on this thing. I don't know like what's going on. Like, I don't know if this is like.
I used to check every 3 weeks, and I was like, oh, there's a couple more. Like,
yeah. That's what it was like. And it was like, but then I sat down and I read the first article that I read, and like when I realized the site was real was I found out about it like any true hardcore kid was. I found out about it on the Merch Swap Facebook group.
Oh,
posted it. And it was like the hardcore kids merch collection featured on like Hoarders or whatever. It was something like that. And then I read it. I was like, that's pretty funny. Like I liked it. And I like looked at the others like, okay, these are funny. And then it was like, and then right on the site there's that, which I'm forever grateful for, is that tab where it's like right for us. And I was like, oh, what the hell? So I literally I was like sitting alone in my apartment that night. And I was just like, damn, let me see. And I sat down, I was like, all right, 10 headlines and like a writing sample or something.
Yeah.
So I was like, boom. So I sat down, just thought of, I thought of like 7, like right off the bat, like, cause the juices were just flowing and I was like psyched, like, oh my God, I could like start writing for this site, which would be really cool. And then I remember like the last 3 I struggled with, but I got them out. And then I emailed I emailed Hard Tim and I attached I attached a few articles from the Beagle that I'd written, being like, hey, I've written satire before, like, I've, blah, blah. And then, and that's kind of how I got into it. And one I'll plug a random Beagle article that every time I'm in the Hard Times group, I'm like, I should just repitch this idea because it was funny the first time I wrote it. And it was tattooed professor surprisingly uncool.
I like that.
Yeah, and that was another one of those Beagle articles that it didn't go, like, no one really got it, like no one thought it was that funny, but I liked it. I thought the article was funny, but so that's how I got into it. And there was a few weeks of kind of not like they were kind of like the back and forth was a little. I was like, I didn't know if I got in or not. I kept being like not sure, and then eventually got cleared up.
Nice. That was I got in. I remember watching or reading a bunch of articles, and I'd only share the ones that really, really made me laugh. Now I'll share fucking anything because I want to support it. But like, before I'd be like, this is amazing, and I've said this a million times on the podcast where I just never thought anybody but me and a handful of other people would get it. But it's so amazing that so many people are on that same wavelength. That actually makes me feel connected to a scene that I felt like ostracized from or isolated from for a long time. But for you in particular, I haven't gone back into my Facebook stuff from years ago or from a year ago, but I can 99.9% guarantee the first thing I retweeted of yours or whatever reposted was Punk's mom never fails to ask if son got good seats. The amount, like, I was like, holy shit, that's just ripping that right out of my life. And then when I had pitched to Hard Tim, and Matt responded, and Matt Sankum, founder of the Hard Times, and he said he put one. It was a crust punk article that I eventually got on after some tweaking. He was like, "Oh, that made me laugh," and I was like, "Oh, cool. So, anything else?" And then radio silence. And so then I remember 2 back-to-back of yours that I saw. In October and November, straight edge friend, total scumbag in every other way possible. Dude, holy shit. I still quote that like to this day. And then local man gets in touch with nature and relentlessly Instagramming hike. That's amazing. So the Instagramming hike one.
Well, full disclosure.
If I'm recalling.
Full disclosure on that article, that's a Bill Conway headline.
Yeah.
He told me to write for him because he was in it.
Oh, okay. Well, so
full disclosure on that.
So those 2, it's probably straight edge friend, but it might be nature hike. So I mean, Bill's a genius. Okay, so we said his name twice. So if we say it 3 more times, he might appear. That's I believe with how.
I have plenty of Bill stories. So yeah.
3, 4. But one of those 2, either one. I forget which one it was, but I remember seeing one of those 2, and that made me go. It doubled down. Because I had pitched originally in July, and I was like, I need to get on this fucking site. Like, this is, I want to do this so bad. And I've never really done comedy writing before, except for a couple of small things. And so I pitched again, 10 new articles. And then Matt hits me back, and he goes, so first off, thank you for the inspiration. had I not seen those, I probably
Jeez.
would not have had the nerve up. So thank you. But like when I saw that, I pitched it, and then Matt goes, "Why didn't you just write the first article I liked?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize I could have been in months ago." Anyway, so another one I do want to mention that was right after I got in, probably a week after I got in. This was the first pitch I saw get pitched in that story I told earlier. I believe it was when you pitched West Oakland Punks hold vegan bake sale to end gentrification. Jesus Christ. That made me never want to write about gentrification or vegans again, because I was like, he did it all. I was like, that you can't top that shit. That like summarizes a million jokes into one. So my question for you, and I know you're a comedy writer and a good comedy writer, which means you can't take a compliment and that you'll always deflect. I get it. But walk me through the point where you kind of like went from, and this might have even happened before you got to Hard Times, but the point where you kind of went from, I'm sure you look at past headlines you've pitched and you're like, ugh, I totally see where I fucked that up.
Yeah.
At what point and what happened through your mind when you kind of went from general pitches to the point where you were like, I kind of know what I'm doing. I kind of have an idea of how this whole thing works.
I can't place as like what it was, but I feel like it's like everyone. You kind of throw stuff out there, and then you realize that basically like brevity, like you need to be concise, and that will really just like amplify just like the tweaking of the words and stuff. Because I'll be honest with you, I still don't know when I pitch stuff. If it's an article, I think if it's an idea that I think is hilarious and I pitch it, it gets zero traction.
Yep.
And then
yeah. Too close to you.
Oh, man, this is gonna be blowing up the group today. Like, oh man, I'm feeling good. And then I'll pitch it and it's just dead silence. And then I'll throw, like, I had an article get picked I don't think it came out yet, but I had an article get picked the other day that I pitched probably an hour after I pitched something that I thought was way funnier.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know, like, so it's still so like I can never tell.
Dude,
I get lucky a lot of the time. I feel like I'm an idiot that just gets lucky every now and then.
I totally relate to that. Really is just like I've heard comics talk about this before, where they say the bits you think are going to kill end up like really bad don't, because they're so close to your own experiences and interests and perspective that it's just like, oh, it's so good because so it's almost like the jokes you think are mediocre are the ones that do really well because they reach out to a lot of people. But here's the thing: you have to at least have had a point where you went from pitching 50 things and one gets picked, or at least one gets traction. Because lots of things get traction, they don't necessarily get picked for various reasons. By the way, I just said picked like I was like angry about that. I'm not angry about it. I just can't control the tone of my voice or the volume, if you ask my wife or anyone I work with. But like, that's how, but there has to be a point where it went from like, you had a bunch, like your ratio got better as far as things that got traction. Can you pinpoint that, or is it still just kind of random?
It's still kind of random. I think I was lucky because I feel like I was just at the right place at the right time, and Bill just gave me a few little extra chances. I don't know why. It's just like I feel like I just got kind of lucky with not even like he gave me extra chances, but I feel like there's just a few times that I kind of sorry, I'm rambling. Let me find my words.
You've listened to this podcast. You don't have to apologize for any form of rambling, diatribes.
No, I've listened to like probably most of the ones you had with all the Hard Times crew, and I'm definitely playing the most, and I apologize for that. And, if Matt listens to this, he's gonna stop letting me contribute. Probably.
By the way, is that not all of our fears? No matter how
it's burning
how well it's always like, man, I posted something last night that got zero traction that basically bridged the Game of Thrones episode with the Cleveland Cavaliers winning the NBA Finals. Yeah. And after I posted, I was like, oh, Matt's on the West Coast. Has he received the Game of Thrones West Coast feed? Does he watch Game of Thrones? Did I just spoil something? Oh my God. Oh my God. Also, not even just Matt. I was like, does everyone hate me now? Did I just fuck that? good relatable feeling. Anyway, sorry, keep going on. You're not rambling. You go, come on.
So yeah, I got lucky with a few, because back in the pitch group, the way it used to work was they would compile the best headlines. You can just there was just a few random ones that like you could just pick and like ask to write. And that was my first article, was the local asshole backed article.
I love that one.
It's not my headline. It was just like, it was just in this list, and I messaged Bill being like, hey man, can I take a swing at this?
Yeah.
And I did, and luckily like he ended up liking it, and it went over well.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of assholes, so like wasn't that hard to have some experience with that one. But yeah, so that's sort of when I got the traction. And then when I started getting a better ratio is when I realized that it was that being concise was more important. Probably this past fall, because again I joined the group in like mid-April, and then during the summer I was kind of just throwing things out there a lot of the time, because occasionally they'd get picked. I pitched the article for Riot Fest when they got that first little video for Riot Fest, and like it was like one of those where you comment your ideas, and mine got picked. So then I think after that I might have gotten a little too confident. I was throwing a lot of stuff out there in the group, and then I toned it down around fall when I was like, I need to start really focusing on this. And that's also I did stand up for the first time later in the summer, so I started thinking more and more about like wording, and I've always been one to overthink everything, which is for the most part it's a very bad quality I have, but
not with comedy.
But with comedy, it can be helpful, but also still bad.
Well, that's true. God damn it, I just said it on a podcast, but I'll say it again. There are times where I will, whether it's stand-up, whether it's hard times, whatever it is, I will have the idea in my head or the connection or the parallel in my head, and I'll write it almost like in 5 different levels and just keep going with the joke. And most of the time, I settle on level 3 or 4. 5 is way too far, and 1 and 2 are way too surface level. And so the overthinking always gets you on 5, and you pitch something to a group of people who are still thinking on it on a level 1 through 3 basis. If that makes any goddamn sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
That's tell me about stand-up. So you're doing stand-up in DC?
I haven't done it in months. I've gotten off because I work nights at my job, so that's kind of been a thing. And I don't know how it is. You're in Baltimore, correct?
Oh, yeah, dude,
you're doing the auto bar, yeah.
So Baltimore is like, by the way, Baltimore is there is one comedy bar that straight up has 2 shows a night with 5 days a week. It's amazing. And then there's where I'm at, but if I go to Annapolis, Frederick, or Baltimore or north of Baltimore, you can do mics 7 nights a week, some nights multiple mics. It's insane. And DC, I've heard, has an amazing scene as well.
No, there is a good scene, but a lot of it is signing up ahead of time and
getting on email lists
and the emailing and all that stuff. And like the one guy that promotes a lot of shows around here has been very kind to me. Again, I've only done stand-up. I've done it I've probably done it once every couple weeks for a while, and then I haven't done it in like a couple since the winter, because my job is working nights and I get my schedule like a few days in advance, so it's like it's been a nightmare. But my plan for the summer is to get back into it.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun, but I haven't been doing it regularly.
And Dan, and this is a personal 101 thing. Hit me up. I'm booking shows now.
I noticed. I was debating. I was gonna say I'm probably gonna try and. I would love to play one of the Eric tries too hard.
Yes. Stand-up comedy.
Unless by the end of this interview I burn the bridge with you.
You can't, sir. You could not possibly burn this. Oh, you kidding? No, So yeah, and I'm actually going to go down. I know a buddy, like my best friend, who I'm trying to get into doing stand-up. He's on this podcast all the time. He's like a writing partner of mine when it comes to a couple of like sites and pilots that we've made. He is, but he lives a couple blocks from the Big Hunt, which has an amazing open mic.
God, I'm neighbors with that guy then.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come down and start doing that open mic every once in a while. So if you're ever able to do that one, we'll hook up. So let me ask you this. So now I've started, I used to compare everything comedy to music because that's what I did forever. But now that I'm doing stand-up, and the hard times inspired me to do stand-up because I had all these jokes and pitches that either were like, oh, I don't have like I need some way to think about topical things in addition to the specific stuff. And I was like, well, comedy helps a lot. And now that I'm, whatever. So now I'm comparing kind of comedy writing versus comedy performing. How do you find, sorry, one more bit of background. So I noticed with Bill Conway, his stand-up's great, but his stand-up, you would never know he wrote for a punk satire site.
Yeah.
Stand-up very much translates to a neutral audience. And that's, I relate to that. My stand-up is nothing like his, because he's good, but like my stand-up is, like, it's still definitely separate. I relate to him because it's definitely separate than, like a punk satire or whatever you want to call it. How you found, what kind of stuff do you do in your stand-up act? It's such a hacky question, but I think it bears asking given the context of what you're used to writing.
I do a little bit of everything. And again, to mention Bill, I can't thank Bill enough. Bill's the one that encouraged me to do stand-up for the first time. And I feel like
that's awesome.
I never truly thanked him for it, so it would be an awkward thing, like one-on-one. But shout out Bill Conway, encouraging me to do stand-up.
This podcast is going to be how all of the Hard Times Writers communicate with each other, with the emotional things they can't say in person. That's
for a while, because when I started writing into the Hard Times regularly, Bill was just texting me being like, "Oh, when's the open mic? When are you doing an open mic?" I was like, "All right, like, fine." So that's what and he emailed me a list of DC open mics and was like, "Here, pick one." I was like, "All right."
He's a good man. That's what I've been doing to my best friend in Baltimore. I've been like, "Hey, asshole, be there at this time. Just get on stage. I don't give a fuck what you do. Just do it."
Just do it. But in regards to your question, my stand-up, because I got really into stand-up comedy in high school, just watching it, and I never thought I would do it. I didn't even consider it to be within the realm of something that I could do. Not because, I guess just because I kind of get nervous around crowds sometimes, so it's weird that I've actually taken a liking to stand-up comedy. But I think my stand-up comedy is kind of little just kind of observational. It's kind of a little dark observational. I'm a big Anthony Jeselnik fan.
Yeah.
I don't go as dark as he does, but I'll make some. I get a lot of ooh when I'm doing that.
Dude, I've built in responses to the oohs, like sarcastic responses to my own jokes, because I'm like, "Are you kidding me, asshole?"
Yeah, so I make light of a lot of bad things in my stand-up. Actually, the joke that I usually open with is kind of it like usually sets the tone, and then I'm like, we'll see. Like, if you didn't like that one, get ready for
more. Yep, it's not getting better. Yeah.
But I've been proud of myself that I've been able to jokes that are about punk and hardcore and like pop punk and straight edge on stage that I didn't think would be able to, that like, because I think of jokes about punk and hardcore and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, like my first thought is obviously Hard Times, and then there's certain things that don't work in that form, or certain things I've pitched and don't go over well, and then they do well on stage. Like I pitched an article a few months ago. I told on stage a few times, and it didn't gain traction in the group, but on stage it was good. It was like, because it just worked better in the talking format, and it was like dropping out of punk is the only thing that's like good to drop out of, basically.
I like that a lot.
It was like, like, so I had that joke, and that was cool.
I like how,
basically whenever
by the way,
I was gonna say, whenever I reference punk or whatever, like in my act, I always kind of make fun of it more than like, I kind of like acknowledge that it's like okay, you guys, like, I'll like be like, this is kind of a weird thing, but, and like I acknowledge that I'm not like going and expecting everyone to understand it, like, whereas in the Hard Times you can like make a Gorilla Biscuits joke and people will laugh, you know?
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I have to do some groundwork first.
Dude, that's really, by the way, with the dropping out of punk thing, I love, when I think I saw that in a pitch group, if I'm not mistaken, and something similar to it from you. And I just remember thinking, I was like, yeah, because all those punk bands that go up on stage and tell you to you have to stick by your punk beliefs. I was like, yeah, but you assholes are the only ones making a living off this. None of us can do it. Dropping out of punk is so much more important to our lives. So then there's that. Yeah. And then I had a bit, I don't know if I'll do it again unless I'm doing a show where I know there's a lot of punks. The whole bit, I grew up, you said you do a lot of jokes about like, on Hard Times you pitch a lot about overly PC people because that's what you know. What I know is fucking crust punks, because that's who I grew up with.
You know crust punks, interesting, because I know you're a pop punk guy, so I'm surprised by that.
Well, it was growing up. It was all crust punk stuff. Well, Leftover Crack is if you change their vocals, they have the greatest pop punk band in the world. But like, I grew up and I was straight edge, growing up with like people smoking heroin to my left and to my right, and it was.
Holy shit.
Oh no, it was fucking insane. Like I was too naive to realize how crazy it was, but now I'm like, I should have been dead so many times. Like, these people are fucking insane. I didn't even have a driver's license. I didn't drink and I didn't drive. I had these fucking lunatic drug addicts driving me around. But like, I did this joke about crust punks, and the whole premise was everyone gives them street cred because they make all these life sacrifices. They live like heroin addicts so they can live by these like idealistic views. It's like, but the joke is they're actually heroin addicts. They just have good marketing skills. Compare the fact that they play off their drug addiction and their heroin lifestyle like it's some glamorous thing. But and then now I'm tracing back everything you said and my responses. 2 things you should check out based on what you said. First off, the most recent, it came out pretty recently, I think, the most recent Daniel Tosh special. Like, the dude has...
Oh, yeah, it's hilarious.
Okay, good. You say, yeah, the dude has fuck you money, doesn't have to do stand-up, and has made, like, 3 drastic changes in his style of stand-up over the years. This new one is some of the best humor I've ever heard. Like, I thought it was really, really good.
He's brilliant, and, like, his show, like he's more popular for his show, but he's really good at stand-up. Like, I love his stand-up, and, like, his show got tired and old after a while, and, like, got ruined by all the idiots that watch it, but, like...
Well, that's your favorite punk band got famous, and now you're like, exactly. Fuck all these assholes.
Like, I'm not mad that he's famous. I'm just mad that people that picked on me are like sharing this guy that used to be like my solace from like. So it's like that.
And you know what? Here's what you can take solace in. He hates all those people even more than you do.
Oh, I know. And that's what makes him even cooler.
There's a great Tosh Point episode where he did it like live from some campus, and he was just shitting on every douchebag who was like, "I love you, man." He was like, "You're a piece of shit." The other thing, because you mentioned Anthony Jeselnik, if you haven't seen this interview, you just go watch it. It's when Pete Holmes had a talk show on TBS. One of his early guests was Anthony Jeselnik. Did you ever see that?
No, I never saw that actually.
It's ran 100 episodes. Nobody like watched it except for me, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. But you don't say, well, he's doing fine. He's got an HBO show with Judd Apatow. Motherfucker's doing fine. But
he's doing good.
There's an interview that he does with Jeselnik, and Jeselnik comes out, and I like his stand-up. I've never heard him as funny as he was on this interview. Basically telling Pete Holmes, it was like right after his show got canceled, and he was telling Pete Holmes about like, really honest about how miserable it is to run your own show. And he even has a line that he says to Pete Holmes that this doesn't even spoil it because it's so perfect. He can't fuck it up. In the middle of this interview, Pete Holmes asks him a question, and he responds with his own question, which is, "Why are you dressed like the CEO of a pumpkin patch?" And Dan, Pete Holmes is dressed like the CEO of a pumpkin patch. It's unfucking believable. Watch that interview. Yeah, Anthony Jeselnik on Pete Holmes.
I'm gonna check that out for sure.
Probably, it's one of the greatest like late night talk show interviews I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, Anthony Jeselnik, and that's another thing that sort of inspired my writing, and like I think might have helped me like with the hard times is the specificity of insults like that.
Yeah.
Like because I'm so because I was so into Greg Giraldo, rest in peace.
We're gonna
Anthony Jeselnik and watching the road.
I'm cutting you off. We're gonna high five on the internet right now.
All right.
Boom. Fucking Greg Giraldo. R.I.P. All right. Yeah. Keep going.
R.I.P.
Keep going. That's who I try to ape all my shit off of. That guy is the best.
Dude, you're aiming for the fucking stars with that one because he is brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
I can't. Like, I mean, you know that. I don't know why I'm gushing, but he's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good, but like that's what it was. That's what I go back to when I like started writing satire like in comics. When I started getting more into comedy than just a casual fan was the specificity involved in people like Anthony Jeselnik and Greg Giraldo. So, and like the Comedy Central roasts, like when Giraldo was on the roasts, he made a joke about Gilbert Gottfried, and he told him, "You have the sex appeal of a school bus fire."
Yeah, which he does.
He does. Perfect. But like
that's what it was.
So, like, dude, it's like that's what like whenever I'm like stumped or I'm like trying to think of whatever, or even just thinking of a comeback when I'm like dicking around with my friends, like I think of that line. I'm just like, dude, that's so funny. So you're saying he has the sex appeal not only of a school bus, which is already an insult, like which is, but then the level deeper is it's on fire, which means it's like a disgusting school bus, and then the implication that children are dying. Like that joke is just like that joke is so simple. It's one line, but it hits like 4 different levels. And I'm just like, oh my, like I every time I watch that clip, I die laughing, even though I know it's coming a mile away.
And the fact that if you said that to anybody else, it'd be a good joke, not a great joke, because Gilbert Gottfried specifically fits that weird imagery.
Yes.
How crazy that, like, and that's, you know what, CEO of a pumpkin patch. It's the exact same thing. You're like, holy shit, how perfect.
Pete Holmes looks.
Pete Holmes looks like a farmer, and he was dressed like. Oh, by the way, dude, I saw Pete Holmes 2007 at 3 p.m. in the afternoon in front of a floor-to-ceiling window. Bright daylight out, bomb in front of 20 kids on my campus. He told a bunch of jokes I liked. I obviously now wish I talked to him afterwards. But he even, like, after I laughed at one of his jokes, he like jumps, points at me and goes, "Yes!" which is totally Pete Holmes. And
yes, totally. It's exactly.
I didn't realize it was him until years into listening to his podcast when I heard his special. Some record he put out, and I was like, he ripped that joke off of some asshole. I saw it, like, oh shit, because that joke stayed with me for a decade before I figured out who it was. Like, good jokes last forever.
That's awesome.
Before we head on out of here, tell me anything you have to plug, your Twitter, anything else that you're doing, or even just Hard Times. Like, what do you got to plug? Where can we catch you?
Well, yeah, again, the Hard Times. Again, just plugging the Hard Times in general, because we wouldn't be talking right now if it wasn't for the Hard Times.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank you real quick for having a lot of the Hard Times dudes on here. So it's like getting all these weird, like these cool introductions to people.
Dude, and you can also thank Matt, Bill, and Ed, because here's the thing. I started doing it with the people I thought were really, really funny in the group, and I used to be terrified until Matt like reposted one of my podcasts, and he goes, "This is awesome," and I was like, "Thank God!" I do not want to. He assembled all of us together. I did not want to step on anybody's toes. Like, I'm lucky enough to be able to be talking to you right now. But yeah, you're very welcome. But they're all to thank too. But yeah, keep on going.
For real. So yeah, thank them also. In addition to that, like I said, anyways, no, I'm gonna plug something else first.
Sure.
Anyways, I'm on Twitter and Instagram as the Dan Luberto. Again, it's spelled phonetically. That's how it reads. Again, I post little jokes on Twitter. Everything I post on Instagram is kind of stupid.
Welcome to Instagram.
Like, it's not particularly interesting. It's not funny if you're into laughing. Let's see. I'm gonna plug. I'm getting into the enamel pin game right now. I'm getting, which, like, again, I had an idea. I just 2 years, my rural years. I drew a picture a few years ago that was a parody of a Silverstein album cover. Their first album, When Broken Is Easily Fixed, has a robot holding his heart in his hand on the cover. I don't know if you're familiar. But I drew a parody of that with Bender from Futurama, and as of a few weeks ago, I'm getting enamel pins made of that little piece of copyright infringement I'll be posting about that on my Twitter and Instagram.
Nice.
And those will be for sale in a couple weeks when I get them from the plant. So I'm excited about that. Else to plug. Working on some scripts and stuff, but nothing tangible to plug quite yet. So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You can find more podcasts like this at erictriestoohard.com, on YouTube at Eric Tries Too Hard, Twitter at Eric Tries, and come on to Autobar June 22nd, this Wednesday at 9 p.m. for a local comedy showcase. And keep an eye out for Eric Tries Too Hard stand-up shows that hopefully Dan will be on whenever he gets his schedule in advance.
I will be annoying the thing to get on those pretty soon. So,
dude, I love it. No one's gonna do worse than me. Actually, you and me are babies. We'll do a whole baby show.
Okay,
that's what we'll do. Baby stand-up show. No, we'll call it No Expectations. It'll be great.
Like a weird tag team stand-up show, where one
every bit
the crowd, the other one hops out again.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, remember me? I bombed the last time you saw me. Hopefully we can make this run last. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on. I'll catch you on the internets, and I will. Anytime I'm in DC to do comedy or anything else, I'll hit you up. And if you're ever in Baltimore, let me know.
Oh, believe me, definitely will do.
All right, man. Well, I'll catch you later. It was great talking to you.
You too.